Hello, Happy New Year. The saga continues straight in the New Year. Um, Christmas and New Year was pretty quiet. Just me and Merlin for most of the time. Um, January the 2nd, £194 in arrears on the rent. Still got no income. Been turned down for PIP again. And the reconsideration seems to be a waste of public money in my opinion, because the reconsideration didn't take into account anything I said on the form that I submitted. I mean, I actually said that I didn't get out of the house very much, and I confronted them about the nervousness and anxiety at the interview because of the noise. And that wasn't even reconsidered. They might as well just said, well, Mr. Gibbons, we don't believe you, we believe our assessor, we're not having you. What's the point in a mandatory reconsideration if they don't believe a word I say? My word against theirs, they carry 99% of the weight. So how do you beat the assessor? If they don't believe you, they believe them. What's the point of mandatory reconsideration? So, no food, no money. I've emailed CAB anyway. I'll leave it with them initially. Oh, and to top it off, the housing benefit system has let me down again. I put an online claim in, as advised by Antonella at CAB, just before Christmas. And I've just gone back on to check the status of the claim and how far it is, and it hasn't even been processed. So London Borough, Barking Dagenham, their online systems have failed me again. It took 2 years to get my account sorted, a year and a half ago. Which I wouldn't mind, but when I kept telling them what the problem was, they kept ignoring me and resetting me a password. And it was only thanks to some kind woman down at London Borough Park, the Dagenham the Dagenham Library, that she said, oh, sit down and talk to someone. And I spoke to someone online, and they said, oh, it should be working, and went back 3 hours later, still wasn't working. Went back the next day to Dagenham Library and got it sorted out. And by the way, they had to do what I told them. Manually link the rent and housing benefit accounts, or rent and council tax accounts, so that I could actually do anything, because it wasn't linking with the information I gave them. Well, sort it out. You don't leave a customer for 2 years just because you got on vexatious policy. That's Barking Dagenham's answer for everything. Oh, if they ask too many questions, put them on a vexatious policy. I could be asking questions because I don't understand what they're saying. Have they thought about this? No. If you don't understand, it's your fault, Mr. Gibbons. Always my fault. The fact I've got arrears of rent for the first time properly ever, and I've been paying rent for 24 years, and apart from the occasional mishap with banking and stuff like that, or I've miscalculated what the monthly rent should be, because they don't tell you what the monthly rent should be, they tell you what the weekly rent should be. And the difference between 4 times the weekly and the monthly is about 0.3, or at least 0.3 of a week, which is enough to throw their systems off, because it works out about 4.3 weeks to a month on average. But if you only do 4 times the weekly, then you miscalculate the rent. So when they send your rent statement out for the beginning of the year, when they change the rent, why is it they only have to give you the weekly figure and not this would be the equivalent of a monthly figure of? So you haven't got to work anything out, you've got it in black and white from them. Because they want their rent weekly. I remember when I said I was going on standing order and doing it on a monthly basis, Barking and Dagenham were the most unhelpful, unfriendly, not focused on the end customer at all organisation I've ever had to deal with. This is why I refused to do direct debit with Barking Dagenham Council, because initially when I took over the rent I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be nice and easy, I'll set a direct debit up, and I did do a direct debit for 2 months. First month they took the right amount of money out. Second month they took 2 months worth of money out. So I cancelled direct debit straight away and had an argument with Barking Dagenham Council to get standing order details. I know we don't do standing order, Miss Gibbons. Really? They got standing order details. I said, you can either have standing order and I tell you how much you're taking, or I will permanently pay in arrears by 1 week. And it's not enough for them to take you to court for, but it's enough for them to trigger all this extra admin and paperwork. I mean, by the time they send you to court, what are they going to do? They take you to court and say, well, why are you constantly 1 week in arrears, Mr. Gibbons? And you turn around to the court and say, well, they refused to give me details for a standing order because they ballsed up the direct debit system. And they didn't even apologise for it then. I don't think many courts in the land will, evict you because, hey, you're a week in arrears because they're being the most unhelpful and unfriendly. I don't know. Anyway, I'm in arrears basically because the adult social care team for London Borough of Barking Dagenham are incompetent fools. Stephen Mina, take note, and Mr. Merchant is no better, in my opinion. In fact, he's more liable than Stephen Mina. Apologising for me contacting people and advising he will get my number and put it on a block list. That's really helpful for someone with autism to hear, isn't it? Fools. The sooner someone takes you to court, Barking Dagenham Council, for incompetence and neglect, and hey, I wish I could call the police and say you've been assaulting me for 4 years, but they won't see mental abuse as assault. So you're lucky, you're getting away with it at the moment. But there are other grounds I can get you on, and I am working on it as best as I can. So be warned, I'm not going to take any more of this. And the irony is, Barking and Dagenham Council have approved my move to a new flat on mental health grounds. And because of the mental health team, I'm now in rent arrears. Thanks, guys. Talk about sticking it where it hurts. It's like, oh, we'll let him go, but we won't let him go. It's just more constant abuse. Anyway, I've emailed Citizen Advice because they were the ones that knew what they were talking about. So I've emailed Citizen Advice. I'll see what they say. I've also copied in or sent it to Rent and Benefits as well, because after I spoke to the nice man at the rent section this morning, he said, well, we will need evidence. And this is the bit I don't understand. If I had a claim for housing benefit and it was terminated by DWP and they're aware that it was terminated, you effectively have zero income, and if you're entitled to housing benefit on zero income, why was the housing benefit stopped? Why do you have to make another claim for housing benefit if your claim was terminated by DWP and not cancelled by you? Really don't understand that one. Someone needs to explain how the system works to me so I can understand it. I mean, I know the local authorities get notified from DWP by central communication of people receiving benefits. I know they do that. I used to work in Land Revenue for 10 years, before it became HMRC. And we used to get the same information from the banks. So, I don't know. Anyway, I've changed the look of the site. I've made it a bit more colourful. I've changed the titles and the credits on this blog. New icons, new animations. I've tried to standardise the format. Hopefully this has improved things. I'm going to try and do a more regular one as well, because it's been a few weeks now since my last vlog. I did do a few over Christmas, but I never really got. One was over 30 minutes long and that didn't go to air. So I'll try and keep them shorter this time, and with any luck, more frequent. So watch this space, we'll see what happens. Thank you for watching.